Video on the Pythagorean Theorem. This theorem describes the relationship amongst the sides of a right triangle. And if you're given two lengths of the right triangle, you can always find the length of the third side. So in a right triangle, the two shorter sides are called the legs, and they form the right angle and are labeled A and B. The side opposite the right angle and also the longest side is called the hypotenuse. And it's always labeled as C. So let's draw a picture so you can understand which one's the leg and the hypotenuse. So if you draw a right triangle, you draw this also in your notes. This is my right angle, so the two sides that form the right angle are A and B. And then the side opposite the right angle, across from it, is C, and this is called the hypotenuse. Now what Pythagorean's theorem says is that if you take the sum of the squares of the legs, so we square this leg and we square this leg and we add it together, we're going to get the square of the hypotenuse. We're going to get the square of this side. So the steps in order of doing this, if you are given the two legs and you want the hypotenuse, is that you are going to square the length of each leg. Remember, that means you're going to multiply it times itself. And then you're going to add those two numbers together, that means getting the sum, and then you're going to find the square root. Well, to find the square root, it's the opposite of squaring a number, and you use that symbol there. On your calculator, it's that symbol right there. So let's do one together here, and then you'll do the other one on your own. So here we have A and B, so we're going to square 6. 6 squared plus 8 squared. And that should give me C squared. 6 squared is 36, 6 times 6, plus 8 squared is 64, 8 times 8, and that equals 100. That gives me C squared. We don't want to know C squared. We want to know the length, so we have to find the square root of 100. So the square root of 100 is equal to 10, and that's what my length, my hypotenuse, the length of the hypotenuse is going to be. We can also, if we're given the hypotenuse in one leg, we can find the other leg. So to do that, again, it seems pretty obvious that if the sum of the legs equals the hypotenuse, then the difference of the hypotenuse in one leg is going to give you the square of the other leg. So what we're going to do is, again, we always got to square the number, so we're going to square the hypotenuse, the longest side, the side opposite the right angle, and square the leg that's given, the measure of the leg that's given. Then we're going to subtract the square of the leg from the square of the hypotenuse, and then don't forget to find the square root. So let's do this one. So if we have this, you can see this is my hypotenuse. So we're going to take 12 squared minus 5 squared, and that should give us B squared. So 144 minus 25 gives me 119. So that must mean that B is equal to the square root of 119, which is about 10.9. You try the other one on your own, okay? We can also test to see if a triangle is a right triangle by using Pythagorean's theorem. And to do that, we're going to test to see if the square of the short sides does equal the square of the hypotenuse. So if it does not, if the sum of the squares of the legs does not equal the square of the hypotenuse, the triangle is not a right triangle. Remember, the hypotenuse is always the longest side. So this is the one we did on the other page, but we can use it again. Just, we have all three sides. We're just going to see, does 6 squared plus 8 squared, does that equal 10 squared? And we know it does. It's 36 plus 64. And that does equal 100, so it's a yes. Now you can test the other ones on your own.